Pour yourself a cold one and listen to the best college football picks podcast going, The College Draft.
All right, welcome back to the College Draft Podcast presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you're hearing a different voice, you'd be correct. This is not Ross Tucker at Ross Tucker NFL. This is producer Jack at Jack P. Connell. Ross is traveling. He cannot make today's show, unfortunately. He will be back next week, but I am filling in for him today, and I am here with, as always, the great Emory Hunt at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Football Game Plan on YouTube. Be sure to go to footballgameplan.com/2026 draft guide. Emory, how we doing? How was your weekend?
Fantastic, man. Called a great game last weekend. Monmouth versus Stony Brook. Monmouth won once again, pushing their record to, I believe, 6-1 or 5-1, 6-1, one of those. Their only loss being to FBS Charlotte. So, great weekend. Great, Saturday and Sunday of watching college football, then pro football yesterday. So excited to get this one kicked off once again.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Even though there's no Raws, we're going to keep the same format here. We're going to take a quick look back at your Week 8 bets, Emory. You went 5-5. You're now 45-39 on the year. Your first one, you didn't get off to a great start. Miami minus 12.5. It missed. Louisville got the win 24-21.
What was dope about that was watching how, Louisville's ability to show up for a big game. I felt like Miami came out flat. I was in studio covering this game at CBS Sports Network, and we're watching this game like, man, Miami's defense keeping them in this one. When's the offense going to kick in the gear? And the only one that showed up was the true freshman wide receiver in Malachi Toney. That's not what you need for a football team that's trying to win. So now when you look at Louisville's record of 5-1, puts them in a different light. Now they got a chance to really go on a run.
We're really living in a bizarre world here, Emory. Vanderbilt was the favorites against LSU. They win, beating LSU 31-24, and just no reaction after. It's just business as usual. This is a crazy world we're living in.
Right, it's crazy because when you think about Vanderbilt being favored in this ball game like they were, and play that way the entire game, they won by 7. Vandy is legitimately a good team. They're better this year than they were last year, and man, LSU just looked like a team that was ranked 17th, and Vandy looked like the team that was ranked in the top 10.
Next up, we had Georgia Tech plus 2.5. That hit. They beat Duke 27-18. I think they're now ranked 7th in the country. Is that correct?
That's correct. They should be ranked 7th in the country. I said this in August or July, that Georgia Tech was going to win the ACC. The game that I was worried about, the only game they had to get past was Clemson, because they avoided Florida State, they avoided SMU, they avoid Miami, and now we'll find out how it shakes out, because who they may face in the ACC title game may not even be Miami. It might be Louisville. You know what I'm saying? So they could truly go undefeated, because I'm not worried about the Georgia game unless Georgia brings their own referees like they did last year, because at the end of the day, Georgia Tech, to me, is playing better than Georgia, although Georgia this year is playing a lot like how Georgia Tech played last season. So that game at the end between those two is going to be another classic once again.
Yeah, you've been on top of that. You've been Haynes King's #1 supporter all season long, so hopefully they'll continue on that trend. Tennessee plus 9.5 against Alabama did not hit. Alabama won that one 37-20.
You know what's interesting about that? I feel like the game changed with that 99-yard pick six going into half. Had they just scored or kicked a field goal or got a touchdown, or just any points or no points, the fact that you threw a pick six, man, Alabama was able to bottle up that momentum, that juice, and carried it into the second half. And Tennessee had no opportunity to get back in this one and cover, because Alabama was playing like a legit wagon in that second half.
Next one up, the vibe's got to be at all-time low in Wisconsin right now. You had Ohio State minus 27.5. That hit. Ohio State won 34-0, and Wisconsin's not making a coaching change.
And it's going to get worse this week. They got, I forgot who they play this week, but it's another big-time team. So Wisconsin is in trouble, man. And it's crazy because there were certain things you thought you were going to get in Wisconsin or from a Wisconsin team. You thought you would get big offensive line, pushing people around, run game that's going to be kind of keeping you in the game. You're going to get great special teams play, a very good aggressive defense, and none of that happened or has happened this season for Wisconsin. They look like a shell of themselves.
Yeah, they really do. Next up, at Ole Miss, this one also did not hit. Plus 6.5 against Georgia. The Bulldogs, they won 43-35.
It was interesting because this game looked like one of these mammoth games that I call where it was going back and forth, and if you missed a possession, you're going to be down 2 scores. And that's exactly what happened. The one possession Ole Miss wasn't able to score points, Georgia opened up a lead to where now they're playing from a deficit, catching up, and then Georgia was able to keep that extended 8-point lead to where they wasn't going to be able to cover the spread. But fantastic back and forth game, and that's why I like Georgia, saying they're playing like Georgia Tech this year because of how they're playing these games. So I can't wait to see the one at the end of the season.
Sure going to be a good one. Texas Tech, another undefeated team, falls. You had them minus 10.5 against Arizona State. That missed. Of course, Arizona State won 26-22.
Shout out to Sam Levitt, who looked healthier in this game as opposed to last week where he was making his first start coming back. But man, totally shocked at how Texas Tech wasn't able to come out there and dominate. But man, once again, when I look at my Big 12 pick for the conference title, it was Arizona State. And so they're still kind of in the mix. But man, Arizona State looks like, hey, this is who we should have been earlier in the season. And he got the upset win. This is a huge upset because now when you look at where Texas Tech was headed, now they fall out of the top 10. That pushes Vandy into the 10th spot, pushes Georgia Tech up into number 7. And now people, you know how people are. They're going to be looking at this Texas Tech thing like, well, were they really that good anyway? They were looking for any reason to drop them out of the top 10, and Arizona State gave them the perfect opportunity. Now it puts the whole Big 12, in question. Like, okay, how good is the Big 12? Even though we've seen the BYUs, the Arizona States, the Texas Techs, we've seen these teams be legitimate, but now people will use this one game to knock the entire conference.
You are absolutely right there. This was a bad loss, Emory. You had Rutgers plus 15.5 against Oregon. Oregon dominated on the road, winning 56-10.
Yeah, it started fine for Rutgers, and then the rest of the game happened. And Oregon just showed you that, hey, even though we lost that game to Indiana, we're not going to carry that into this week. We're going to come back, refocus, long trip from Oregon to Jersey, and dominate in a night game. You know what I'm saying? In a weird spot. I think that was a Friday night game or something like that. So they went out there, took care of me. It was a Saturday night game, but they took care of business out there against Rutgers, and Rutgers just defensively was there early in the game, but offensively had nothing for Oregon.
Next up, another tough loss here. Penn State, you had them plus 3.5 at Iowa. The bet hit for you, but Iowa won 25-24.
Yeah, this was a tough loss for the psyche of Penn State, because I thought this was been a game that they were going to upset. Again, great teams win, good teams win, great teams cover. They covered in this game, but man, they lost the game to Iowa. But again, Iowa at night, that's like playing an NFL team. There's no way you beat Iowa at night. But at least Penn State got the cover, but their quarterback situation looks awful.
Yeah, that truly does. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. And your last bet from last week, that was a hit. Notre Dame minus 7.5 against USC. They beat the Trojans 34-24.
The run game for Notre Dame is phenomenal. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, 2 first-round backs. So I don't care where you value running backs. You want those type dudes taken in the first round. They legitimately carried this football team. C.J. Carr had a bonehead interception inside the red zone, but man, when USC got on defense, they could not stop Love nor Price, even on special teams as Price had the big return. So those are 2 legit first-round backs you're looking at out there for the Fighting Irish.
Absolutely. Reminder, Emory went 5-5 this week. He's now 45-39 on the year. If you want these bets in black and white after every episode, be sure to join our Patreon, patreon.com/RTmedia. $10 a month tier will get you access to these picks written in our College Draft Slack channel. We move on to week 9 in college football.
Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills real quick. It's Twisted Tea time. Twisted Tea is a refreshing hard iced tea made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol. Here's the truth, right? It tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. Real brewed tea with a kick, 5% ABV, full of flavor, very refreshing, goes down smooth. There's no carbonation, which makes it easy to drink all day long. It's the perfect beverage to keep the good times going all season long. Hanging out with friends, tailgating at the stadium, watching the game at a bar. Twisted tea. Keep it twisted. Grab a refreshing twisted tea today. I love beer. Beer, beer, beer. Buy beer, get gear. Rewards.labattusa.com. Yummy in my belly, yummy in my tummy. Buy beer, get gear. Rewards.labattusa.com. I appreciate those of you sending me pictures of buying Labatt. Now, the next step is to show me the gear you got at rewards.labattusa.com.
All right, Emory, we're going to start here. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. You're expecting this one to be a low-scoring affair, under 54.5.
I feel like we'll see Georgia Tech's defense step up. Right now, you have Syracuse's offense is not been consistent. Ever since Angeli went out, they just struggle to find ways to move the ball consistently. This is a get-right game for that Tech defense. I thought Mensah last week for Duke, kind of threw the ball all over the yard. So we'll see them step up, play better defense here. So that's why I like the under. It'll be a lot of Georgia Tech scoring, not much from Syracuse, but enough to where we can both cash this under.
All right, like it. Next one, we've got UCLA. They're at Indiana. UCLA's got to have the most popular offensive coordinator in college football. The way he's being promoted, it's like he's the head coach. People need to realize he is not the head coach. You've got them plus 24.5 against the Hoosiers.
That's fascinating, right? How everyone just thinks he's the head coach, and there's a big whole interim sitting right there, like on the sideline directing this football team. It's crazy. But what's even crazier is this point spread. UCLA has been playing really good. I know Indiana is outstanding. I know Indiana has blown the doors off a lot of teams, but UCLA, if this game was, week 3, I get it. 24.5 point spread. Indiana's going to blow the doors off UCLA, but they've been competitive. They've been solid. I'm interested to see how Nico Iamaleava responds in this game, going up against another top draft prospect on the other side in Fernando Mendoza. So here's a big opportunity for him. Here's a big opportunity for the OC of UCLA. But this is going to be a very good game, I believe. So I will take UCLA plus the points.
Before we move forward, do you have any thoughts on Kirk Cignetti getting that big extension, kind of put him away from the Penn State conversation, lock him up in Indiana?
Love it, because here's the thing about Kirk Cignetti that I really like and I really appreciate, that he's done it at every level, and he's done it with less. He had to make moves that works for the team. He did it at IUP, and Division II scholarships are more like, how can we divvy up the money to get the equivalency of 36 scholarships? IUP was legit, wagging out there. That's my word for the week. They were legit wagging out there in the PSAC West. They got some bounce backs, but that kind of set the table for what he did at JMU, getting some guys that transferred down to JMU when they were FCS and made them into a powerhouse right there. And now he's doing it at Indiana. So he's been prepping for this moment. He's been successful at every stop. Definitely worth the money.
Completely agree. We got some other coaching news we might get to later. A bunch of changes down the SEC. Next up, Virginia. You got the minus 9.5. They're on the road, Chapel Hill, playing North Carolina.
There's nothing positive coming out of Chapel Hill right now. Just a tough way to lose that ball game last week against Cal, man. I'm talking about like the awful possible way you could lose that game. And now you have to come back and take on a team in Virginia with head coach Tony Elliott that's playing lights out, that's playing with some spunk, ranked in the top 15, top 16. Give me Virginia in this points. They'll blow out North Carolina. Or lay the points with Virginia for those that are listening.
Next up, Ole Miss Oklahoma. You've got the under again, 52.5 in that one.
Oklahoma's defense is going to be a problem right now for Ole Miss. And Oklahoma offensively, they'll score some points, but defensively, I think this is where we can see one of these 24, 17 type ball games, would definitely puts us under 52.5. I don't see much success from the Ole Miss offense versus the very stout Sooner defense.
All right, we're gonna be staying SEC here. We got Texas A&M. They're at LSU. You got -2.5 towards Texas A&M.
Texas A&M 7-0 for the first time in a long time, I believe. And so this is crazy because this is one of those teams that is in the top 6. No one's talking about, even though they're undefeated, playing a physical brand of football. I like the brand of football. They look like the old Texas A&M, where it was run game, defense, just enough passing. Even though Marcel Reed has put together a very good season, he's made some throws that you're like, wow, that was a fantastic throw. So he's taking the necessary steps in his progression as a player. But this is about, do you trust LSU to move the ball consistently against this wrecking crew defense? Nope. Lay the points with A&M.
Love it. Next up, we got BYU. You mentioned them earlier. They're at Iowa State. You're leading +2.5 with BYU.
And Iowa State, it's crazy how they have fallen, because they were the cream of the crop in the Big 12, which again shows you how good the Big 12 is from top to bottom this particular season. Anybody can win it, even Utah. Anybody can win it, but BYU, even with their their freshman quarterback wearing that ugly 47 jersey, is getting it done. So I can trust them to go on the road. Where they have the advantage here is up front in the trenches on both sides of the ball. I like that for BYU, and I like that in this game, +2.5.
Wearing 47 as a quarterback should be illegal. It's like, you ever play like the old college football dynasties, and you get like 15 years in the future, and like everybody's wearing wonky numbers. Like your
Right.
receivers are wearing 70s, your running backs like 83. That's what this feels like. That is what it feels like at BYU. Now, imagine telling yourself a year ago this would be the game of the week in college football. Vanderbilt playing Missouri. You've got -2.5 with Vandy.
Yeah, Missouri was trying to lose that game last week versus Auburn all day. It was like, yo, how can we give this game to Auburn? But they ended up winning the ball game in overtime. But I like the quarterback better for Vandy, Diego Pavia. He's playing way better than Bro Prabula played last week against Auburn, who was trying to give the game away. So give me Vandy, give me Diego Pavia, give me the Commodores, anchor down. Once again, this is a legit team that can pose a significant problem in the postseason, because that's where they're going. And it, again, continues to roll along as they knock off Missouri.
Love it. We're going to stay in the SEC here. Alabama, they're at South Carolina. You're leading -13.5 at Bama.
I can't trust South Carolina's offense. They're just not that good offensively. Despite having talent and a talented quarterback, they just are inconsistent. And Bama only needs 2 stops on defense to create this separation. Just like we talked about it versus Tennessee and how we talked about it versus Georgia and Ole Miss. If you make a stop, that's a wrap. This offense will continue to score. They'll score against South Carolina because they'll get those stops on offense, on defense, to give them enough to where they can cover the spread.
Next up, we got 2 teams in the SEC coming off losses here. Tennessee at Kentucky. You're looking at -9.5 with Tennessee.
Yeah, I think this is more about the Tennessee defense having success success against Kentucky's offense, and their offense, again, they're going to find points. They're going to score a bunch. Kentucky, you don't have to worry about them scoring a lot of points. The passing game is questionable for the Wildcats. Tennessee should win this one by double digits, and I think they will. That's why I'm comfortable in laying the 9.5.
And our last one here, San Diego State at Fresno State. You're looking at -3.5 with San Diego State.
The best defense in the Mountain West Conference is in San Diego. The Aztecs are playing phenomenal defense. And to me, when you have a great defense, and E.J. Warner has to be better at protecting the football. Interceptions have been an issue for him at every stop he has gone in his collegiate career. And so when you have a guy that has a tendency to be turnover prone versus the best defense in conference, you're going to steal some possessions away from that offense at Fresno State. Although they've been winning games, but man, the turnovers could doom them. In this one, I think it will. So I will lay the 3.5 points with San Diego State.
Love it. Love it. All those bets, they can be found on our Slack channel, patreon.com/RTmedia. All of those bets there, just running through real quick. Georgia Tech, Syracuse under 54.5. UCLA +24.5. Virginia -9.5. Ole Miss Oklahoma under 52.5, Texas A&M minus 2.5, BYU plus 2.5, Vandy minus 2.5, Alabama minus 13.5, Tennessee minus 9.5, San Diego State minus 3.5.
Time to finish this episode strong right after this. So I don't know how people live at this point without making sure you have the streaming services. Fox 1 has been awesome so far this season, right? If you think about it, you got the big college games on Saturday, including big noon kickoff. They got the MLB postseason, although my Phillies are no longer in it, and the NFL on Sunday. Plus, if you're into NASCAR, they got that. I mean, they got a lot of really cool events there. Fox 1, we live for live, streaming now.
We got some time here, Emory. We mentioned it earlier. A couple firings around college football this weekend. Billy Napier, kind of the one that's been thought about for a year, and not the Norvell everybody was expecting. Jay Norvell, Colorado State, was let go. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's tough for both coaches, man. I like Billy Napier, good dude. Knows how to recruit and develop. You saw he goes out with the victory, in his last game, and it's going to be interesting to see who takes over in Florida because that's one of those blue blood programs, and you could win down there. We saw that with Spurrier. We saw that with Galen Hall. We saw it with Urban Meyer. So you can win down there. It's going to take a unique offensive guy, I think, that can get the job done. Or hell, with Urban Meyer, he's kind of a old school guy where he can do offense and defense. So that's a unique job. Colorado State with Jay Norvell, that's tough, man. I thought last year there was 8-5. They got to a bowl game, first bowl game since 2017 or something like that. So, and they get rid of him this year. Is like, who are you going to replace him with? So I feel like that's one of those young people's jobs at Colorado State. You're going to go young, probably going to go with a coordinator or someone like that. Stanford still is possibly looking for a spot. Penn State, the name I'll throw out there for Penn State, and I think this is someone that people need to take seriously. Bob Chesney of James Madison. You go back and look at what he did at Salve Regina, Division III program, significantly won there. You saw what he did at Division II Assumption, won a lot there. You saw what he did at FCS Holy Cross, won a lot there, even upset an FBS team. And look what he's doing now with James Madison. So he has won at every level, Division III, Division II, FCS, and now FBS. And because he's in the Sun Belt, get him out of here, man. He's making things tough on my Raging Cajuns because he's so dominant at James Madison. And he has Pennsylvania ties. He's from Central PA. So he has all of the boxes that are being checked. And he won't cost you much, not clocking money, but you just pay somebody $50 million to go sit down somewhere. And he is someone you can give a good contract to that help kind of balance the books out while you get rid of the $50 million contract you gave James Franklin. So I like that fit for him. I think he would be phenomenal at Penn State. And I think James Franklin would do a great job at Stanford if he ever wants that job out there because that's the best fit for him. Not Oklahoma State, Stanford.
I love that. Like you mentioned, he is a PA guy. He played Dickinson, and he was the DC at my local college football program, Del Val, almost 23 years ago. So that's an interesting name out there. Is there, if you were part of the search committee at Florida, Colorado State, is there any names you would want to see at either of those programs going into next year?
Well, Colorado State, because it's one of those FBS jobs that, like I said, it's a young man job. How about Brendan Marion? I know he just got the job at Sacramento State, but why not take a shot on him as a FBS guy? I know Sacramento State wants to move to FBS, but they need an invite first, so that don't look like it's happening right now. He would be a good fit there. I would even throw out keep an eye out for Tony Hall, underrated offensive coordinator at Arkansas Pine Bluff. The man does a fantastic job. So I like the fact that he's calling plays. Pine Bluff is doing a great job. Hall was the one that got all those talented players to Kansas. You think about the Puka Williams and those guys. That was Tony Hall's imprint. Tony Hall is one of the more underrated guys in college football. So that would be the one I would say for Colorado State as well. In terms of Florida, bro, you stumped me there because I'm thinking like, who would want that job? Everybody would want that job, but who would be the best one for that job at Florida? I think, obviously, everyone wants to say Gruden, Does Gruden want to coach college football and deal with the landscape now? I know it's become pro football, but that's the kind of guy you probably have to go down and grab in terms of a name for Florida. I think that's the splash they probably need more so than anything.
Agree with you there. Seeing Marion go, that's a good name you throw out there for Colorado State. Big fan of Sacramento State. They offered my offensive lineman here at Archbishop Wood, Ben Sakayama.
Smart.
Yeah, 6'7", 360-pound freak in nature. Shout out to the kid there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I feel like James Franklin. I feel like that's the layup name. Any SEC team's going to need a coach first. It's going to be like, oh, Urban Meyer, James Franklin. That's everybody's like 1-2 short list. But I mean, I think Franklin would be an interesting choice there. But before we wrap up here, was there any other notes across college football, things you will be watching, games across, we'll say Division II, Division III this weekend? We're going to stay away from D1 for right now.
Right, because when you think about this is a big weekend FCS, man. Think about this. North Dakota State plays South Dakota State. That's the number 1 and number 2 teams in the FCS going toe-to-toe. The last game of the night, I think they kick off at 8:30 Eastern time. So that's a huge game in the FCS. That's one where I can't wait to check out and see. You also have another one when you think about I'm not calling the game this weekend, so I'll be able to watch all of these games, so I can't wait. But I will stay with North Dakota State, South Dakota State as the game to watch.
Love it. We will be sure to be checking that one out. Reminder, Ross will be back next week. He will be in place instead of me. Be sure to follow Emory on Twitter at FBallGamePlan. Subscribe to him on YouTube at Football Game Plan. Check out the draft guide, footballgameplan.com/2026 draft guide. Sure, check out our other shows. Our Week 7 reaction, the NFL Ross Tucker Football Podcast is up. Even Money might be a little delayed this week, Wednesday or so. Power Rankings tomorrow on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. And Greg Cosell, always, to end the week. All right, thank you, guys. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to College Draft. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Even Money, and Fantasy Feast, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.